In 1938, the League of Nations agreed that in the event of a general war, they would not bomb civilians. However, in the same year, the government invested heavily in air raid precautions and considered shelter designs just in case the agreement signed didn't hold up under the pressure of total war with Germany. Now, a year later, in 1939, the first occupier of my house moved into the newly built three-bedroom semi-detached property when average house prices were £659. A few months later, he probably turned on his wireless to hear this.
I am speaking to you from the Cabinet Room at 10 Downing Street. This morning, the British ambassador in Berlin handed the German government a final note stating that unless we heard from them by 11 o'clock, that they were prepared at once to withdraw their troops from Poland, a state of war would exist between us. I have to tell you now that no such undertaking has been received, and that consequently this country is at war with Germany.
Now, I love my house, and I'm sure the first occupier had an equal affection for it, but the downside of it is that it was in the direct line of the Luftwaffe raids on Birmingham and the Black Country, which were producing large amounts of munitions and aircraft for the war effort. The Black Country, along with Birmingham, suffered heavily in the Nazi Blitz. The onslaught lasted from early August 1940 until April 1942 and claimed the lives of 2,000 people in the region. This photo shows the aftermath of an air raid on Smethwick, only a few miles from our house, on October the 23rd, 1940. There were not air raids every single night, but there were 77 air raids altogether on Birmingham, but the siren sounded 365 times. Although there's not many remaining today, close to 3 million Anderson shelters were erected across Britain during the war. They were most common type of private shelter made of corrugated iron, and they were supposed to be easy to assemble and could hold up to 6 people. They were the most effective protection against an air raid, and it had to be dug at least 4 foot into the ground with soil heaped on top to provide cover against nearby bomb blasts. Anderson shelters tended to become waterlogged in winter and were freezing cold, making them unpleasant places to be for up to 6 hours at a time during the middle of the night when bombing raids happened. Now fast forward to 66 years, when me and my wife bought the house for a lot more than £659, and the garden was a complete mess. Little clue what was at the end of the garden until I cleared the undergrowth and stumbled across the air raid shelter. As I explained in the previous video, I found this weird hole in the ground and went on to discover that it was a near perfectly preserved air raid shelter. Now it's similar to an Anderson shelter, but a bit more elaborate, as it has well-built brick steps leading down into it, and I have a suspicion that it might have been built at the same time as the house, in around about 1939 by A.J. Mucklow, who were founded in 1933. When I got to the entrance, I found that it was filled with tons of mud and junk, and I've made it my tasks over the years to try and clear this out. It was not until 2023 last year when I finally managed to complete this task with the help of some 2 good friends, Adrian and Derek. And there was probably about 2 to 3 feet of mud across the whole of the floor, and then it was just filled to the brim with junk, and I just filled skip after skip and did trips to the tip. And I want to show you now for the first time what it looks like, and I'm doing this at night time to try and give a feel for what it would have been like during the war. Okay, guys, I'm braving it out, and I'm braving it out in my air raid shelter. It's night time. It's really, really spooky in here. I just can't imagine what it would have been like being here in the Second World War with bombs going off overhead. It would have been terrifying. It's the walls are damp, dark, dingy. It's cold, and I've got lights on in here. And just as an example of what it might be like with no lights, I'm going to turn the lights off and just have candle lights. So here goes. Pitch black. Maybe they would have had just a simple light, a gas light, just to light the place. There would have been up to 6 people sleeping in here. Maybe a bed along here, 2 bunks. As you can see, it is a bit longer than your standard air raid shelter, but I would have been terrified being in here at night during a bombing raid. You can even see my breath. It would have been no fun at all.